Snap, placement, kick on the way. And Denver's going to the AFC Championship game. Lutz from 24 yards out in an epic battle from a power field at Mile High. The Broncos have climbed higher, and they have found a way to win again coming from behind. They beat the Buffalo Bills this afternoon, 33-30.
Dave Logan on the call. Ryan Harris, longtime friend of the 9 to noon radio presentation via X at Ryan Harris _68. He's a Minnesotan and Cretin-Derham Hall star from back in the day. Ryan was all Metro and all state in 01 and 02, won Super Bowl 50 with the Denver Broncos. And Ryan also calls NFL games for Westwood One and does a podcast called We're the Harrises. With Chris and Shelby Harris, a couple of former Broncos, and Ryan joins us now. First and foremost, great seeing you on the sideline before the Packers game. You like calling games for Westwood One, don't you?
I love calling games, PA. You taught me well how to be a good broadcaster. Thank you for being a great mentor in my life. And look, I got my doctorate in applied football mechanics and theory. I know how to win, not just how to play, and I love explaining it to fans and people who are interested in the game.
Before we get to the Broncos, we just heard that game-winning highlight. The Minnesota Vikings reportedly have moved on from your former teammate and offensive line coach here, Chris Cooper. You guys know each other well, and 9 to noon always appreciated Coop's kindness. You never, on the outside, you never really know exactly what goes into things like this, but what do you think?
Well, I think it's actually a kind thing by the coach to let Chris Cooper go. He's one of the top offensive line coaches in the NFL, and I think you're going to find out quickly Chris Cooper's going to have a job as well. And the big thing about the offensive line, PA, is it is not rocket science. We are the smartest on the field, but you have to have everybody moving together. And I think when you take a look at the run game that the Vikings have had the last 4 seasons, you see that they were able to perform even with injuries, and that's the sign of a great offensive line coach. So I know Chris Cooper loved being in Minnesota. I told him all the great spots to eat, but he's probably going to find some warmer pastures unless he's heading out to Buffalo.
All right, your Broncos. How do they handle losing Bo Nix for the rest of the journey?
Well, they've got Jarrett Stidham, the guy who, oh, by the way, the Patriots drafted. This guy's the real Drake May, PA. I mean, the Patriots drafted him. Josh McDaniels was the offensive coordinator, and then Josh McDaniels traded for him when he was at the Raiders. And then, oh, by the way, he was undefeated in this preseason in the 2 games he played in. Most notably against Arizona, we went 16-23 with 240 yards, 2 touchdowns, and the little things he does, PA, looking the ball into the running back on a play-action pass. He's able to get out of the pocket but then stay within the numbers to allow the timing of the play to develop. He does all the little things right. And I'm telling you, PA, the Broncos are going to the Super Bowl again in Santa Clara again.
Oh, geez. Okay. Well, Sean Payton, elite offensive mind, and the RPO stuff, the run pass option with Bo Nix. I mean, some of those play calls this last game were just masterful. Stidham by trade does not move. He does not run. So, how can Sean Payton get around this one?
Well, that's one of the things that Stidham actually has worked on. But he wants you to think that, PA. So he's doing successful. He does not want you to think he can run the football.
Okay.
Now, is he going to get that same early on kind of read option? I don't know if coach is going to trust him that much, but he can move, and they will use him in the run. And remember, this is a guy who played SEC football. Every SEC quarterback knows how to run the ball. So the biggest thing, though, is you are going to, I think, actually get the Broncos to call the run because of Stidham in the game. And that's something where you really have had to have that rushing ability and calling that run to be successful. And you're going to need it against the Patriots.
Did the Patriots soundly beating the Texans surprise you?
It did, and it was because C.J. Stroud played, I think, the worst game we've ever seen him play.
Right.
And I got to see the Texans last year in their game against the Chargers, so I've seen this from C.J. Stroud. He just doesn't wake up in the playoffs. I really think it's the one few times when a player says, hey, this is just every other game. Well, it's not every other game. That's what you tell the kids that are going out of their minds and are worried and can't sleep. Hey, PA, it's just like every other game. But for people who need to get up and get in that game and be ready for the moment, you better believe that the playoffs are different. I mean, hockey says hello. Playoff hockey is a totally different sport, right? So To me, C.J. Stroud has not learned that the playoffs are a very different game, and he has to step his game up.
What do you, just a general question with your elite football mind, Ryan Harris at Ryan Harris _68 via X. What do you think of Caleb Williams, just overall, Caleb Williams?
I'm so happy for him. And PA, this is the first player I was so wrong about. I saw him in USC. I saw him early on. I told the Bears staff that I know not to draft him, and I was wrong. But we also haven't seen a player turn it around in 1 year like Caleb Williams has. And the big thing that he does is that he is able to fire before. He played with so much anticipation this year. I really believe they were in camp and said, hey, I want you to hit your foot and just practice throwing the ball, even if they're not open, because that's the way he played the game all year long. What a brutal loss and an awesome run for the Bears. I mean, a lot of Vikings fans and Broncos fans were saying bear down. And I'd never said that before in my life, PA.
If Ryan, if you're a Bears fan, how do you feel about right now? Just, I mean, because you had a bad pick at the end, then the former champions walk off on you in your city, in your building. But then, you get frustrated and you're sad and you wake up. How should Bears fans feel right now?
Well, they got to get 2 playoff games. How much would you like that, Vikings fans? Right? I mean, come on now. They got to really be in the mix. And I think that excitement, I know from being in Denver, and I know from seeing it even last year, or 2 years ago when the Vikings made it. It's just, it affects the city. Look, sports is everything in our communities and our cultures. It excites us. It gives opportunities to people, and it shows us what we are capable of when we just work together. So, happy for the Bears fans, and they better enjoy and remember this season, because the Vikings will be back on top next year.
And Ryan, it's, there is no right or wrong answer here with Ben Johnson, all right, coach of the Bears, but I mean, he's so swashbuckling and so aggressive with these 4th down calls, man. And like Dan Campbell used to go for 2-point conversions all the time. Maybe it's because of the confusion and frenzied nature of the moment after that long pass to Komet. Quite honestly, I was shocked that he didn't go for a 2-point conversion to win the game. And if they lose the game and their season's over, and I'm a Bears fan, I'm like, well, that's what my coach does. My coach does things like that, and he happens to be quite good at them,
Well, the big thing is there is a right answer. And the thing is when you go for it on 4th down, 5 times in the game, you're scared. The coaches are scared. Because number 1, you got to go and win 1st and 2nd down. You shouldn't need 4th down. And number 2, to exactly your point, how did he not go for it, too, at the end? How do you not want Caleb Williams to have the ball? So what happens in the NFL are coaches who are scared, they go for it on 4th down because it looks aggressive, and they can say, like Dan Campbell and now Ben Johnson, in a losing press conference, well, yeah, we wanted to be aggressive. Well, being aggressive got you beat. You're the reason you lost. You're the problem. It's you. Listen to some Taylor Swift and get 1st and 2nd down figured out. But it's the biggest shock to players, PA, that coaches get away with it in a meeting of saying, like, oh, I was being aggressive. Could you imagine if a quarterback went up after throwing 3 interceptions and said, well, I was just being aggressive, that's who I am? Like, no one would accept that. But when coaches say it, we're like, oh, yeah, that's their culture. Well, let's be very clear. The culture of the Lions and the Bears is losing, and they did it again.
Well, that's an elite point. The Bears clearly have turned things around. Ryan Harris, couple more here at Ryan Harris _68. Won Super Bowl 50, the Gary Kubiak team for the Denver Broncos. Do you like the Rams or the Seahawks, or too early to formulate an opinion?
I like the Seahawks, and I'll tell you 3 reasons. Number 1, Sam Darnold. Wish you had him, didn't you, Vikings fans? Number 2, I called the game the last time these 2 teams played in Seattle, and I'm telling you, the Seattle defense is better than people think. Get it out of your mind who Sam Darnold was, because this man has turned a corner. And the number 3, the last 2 times the Seahawks had a number 1 seed, they went to the Super Bowl.
Ryan is an elite college football mind, too. He's the analyst for Notre Dame football. And tonight, Miami and Indiana do battle for the national title. What do you make of that one, Rhino?
I got Indiana all day, and I know my brother Sam and my big pops Kev is with me there. Scott Brimehurst, our friend, is against me there. But to me, Miami had to be in this game. And at the same time, conversely, Indiana believed they were going to be in this game when nobody knew who Kirk Cignetti was, right? So you've got a team that's been doing the things the right way when no one's looking for none of the attention, and then you got a team who's had all the attention, who stumbled their way into the playoffs, and have had some good games against, we'll see what kind of opponents they were next year. But to me, this is Indiana all day. And the way that you win is by focusing on you, not the opponent. It doesn't matter who they play. They win. That's Indiana. So I got them tonight.
All right. So Luke the Cane, dear friend of mine, David Koob, lawyer by trade, Poopy Dave is the statistician, and Scott Brimehorst. All right. All these, and John Ojampa, all these big Canes fans. They all have a similar take, and none of them know each other. So I want to run it by you because you have an elite football mind. But my Canes friends like Miami's defensive line a lot versus IU's offensive line and believe it can change the game. Do you see it that way?
Bain will be a top 3 pick in the NFL, the defensive tackle. I mean, how about that? How about having a defensive tackle whose last name is Bain? And I guarantee you, PA, every time he's on the field with his finger down, he goes, I was born in the dark. I mean, this guy is nuts. And quality offensive lines, it doesn't matter if you beat one of us because we got 5 more.
Yeah.
So that's something where Indiana knows the animal they're playing, but they also know the tendencies. And Miami looks like all the type of team that has all the talent in the world, but when things get tough, they make mistakes. And at the end of the day, that's exactly the opposite of who Indiana is. And one of the best O-line coaches I ever had said, hey, look, if one guy loses, the other 4 got to help him out. And that's exactly how Indiana plays. So maybe that defensive line can get a little bit of pressure, but we do know it's not going to stop Heisman Trophy winner Mendoza at quarterback and that offensive line who's hurt it about everybody they've played all year.
You're elite. Thank you very much, Ryan. Congratulations on your recent and continued success. And when I get out there, I'll call you and we'll go get coffee or something, all right?
I'm a reflection of you, PA. Thank you, and happy Dr. Martin Luther King Day, everybody.
Yes, sir. Ryan Harris, at Ryan Harris _68 via the tweet machine. Couple of segments to go. A man named, we go Harris to Harris. John Harris joins us around the corner. This man's an elite college football mind, but also the sideline analyst for the Houston Texans radio network. He was on the sideline at Gillette yesterday, crestfallen as they departed Boston and or Providence, heading back to Houston, but not so despondent he couldn't join 9 to noon to tout us on tonight's game between Miami and Indiana. But first,
the fan wants to give you a chance to put some bonus bucks in your pocket, National Cash Contest style. Go to KFAN.com, enter the keyword dollar, and you might win some money with the keyword dollar at KFAN.com.
Covenant catch up a little earlier than we generally do. He's my main man. He's John Harris at J Harris Football via the tweet machine, at J Harris Football via X. John is an elite college football mind and also the sideline analyst for the Houston Texans radio network. And we normally do a Covenant catch up with John at the Indianapolis Scouting Combine. Probably will this year. But listening to him and Mark Vandermeer call the loss yesterday at Foxborough, and I listened to the entire fourth quarter. My man, you guys were on fire with the emotion. I mean, I was feeling it here in the cornfields. Been in that spot before where it's tenuous and you take the L in the postseason. But sadly for your Texans, it came to an end. What was yesterday in Massachusetts like for you? And good morning, John.
Good morning, Paul. It's great to talk to you, man. And yeah, you felt the pain, and we that building is just haunted in some sense for us. We just got our first win in the regular season up there in 2024, and we went up there pretty confident. We felt like we matched up with them very well. We felt like the defense was playing, at such a high level. But everybody in the building felt like, offense just can't turn the ball over. If we can run it and we don't turn the ball over, we'll be okay. Well, we couldn't run it, and then we turned it over all day. And yet we were still right there at 21-16 in the fourth quarter, which is crazy to think about. But we just shot our foot off every which way you could and just handed the ball to good. And the Patriots, I will give them credit. They are they are a team in every way, shape, or form, and that is all Mike Vrabel. Knew Vrabel from his time here in Houston, coaching outside linebackers and defensive coordinator for 1 year. Saw him at Tennessee for twice a year, and he's taken that to New England. And they took a lot of money. They put it into Milton Williams and a few other players. Drake May took a big step up under Josh McDaniels, and that is a really good, legit football team. And they now get to face Jarrett Stidham, which obviously was a talking point Saturday night for a lot of Texans fans, thinking the Texans were going to win that game and then go to Denver and take on Jarrett Stidham, the Texan. But it didn't happen, and now we lick our wounds, and now I jump fully into draft coverage that I've been putting off, Paul. I've done some, but I got to get into it now before I get to the combine and make sure I'm ready for it.
Do you miss Stephon Diggs or happy he no longer is on the team?
I don't know that it's either one, Paul. I think there were times where we felt like, yeah, Steph would have helped us. But when you talk to everybody in the building here that was around Steph and football ops, they're like, man, we loved Steph. Steph was great with us. CJ loved Steph. And look, it maybe wasn't, it's a year. And maybe that's what it is with Steph. Is that the shorter amount of time that you're around him, then maybe it's better that way. Maybe it just gets to a point where, each side wears out its welcome with him, after 3, 4, 5 years, whatever it might be. But I think his touchdown catch yesterday, and we said it during the game, that's not really Steph's game. Steph is, shake people, get open, get separation, and then he's got all kinds of space. He can body catch and do all that. The catch he made in the end zone, we had two guys hanging all over him, and he hung on to it somehow, and I would have never thought that. So he's given them a real jolt. We missed him, I think, at various points of the year, but ours was we didn't have Nico Collins yesterday. And, it's just like in basketball, Paul, when you got a guy that is a bucket, and you're like, we need one badly, okay, the ball goes to this guy. And that's where it would go with Nico Collins, and not having Nico yesterday was a big one. That was a big miss for us. And then Dalton Schultz went out. Yep. These are our top two receivers. I think it probably rattled CJ a little bit more than anybody let on. And our other receivers stepped up at times, but not enough. So yesterday, ironically, would have been one of those games where Steph would have really come in handy for us. But unfortunately, he was on the other side and making that big touchdown catch against us.
John, having watched the Monday night game against Pittsburgh, and okay, so the NFL, which is so uber conscious about not having competitive disadvantages. Yet we have a Monday night football game. You got to come back on a short week. Conversation maybe for the combine, but in watching that game. And the turnovers, the 5 fumbles, and how many times C.J. Stroud gave it away. And I adore C.J. Stroud. I mean, is it fair to say that you can make those mistakes and beat a team like Pittsburgh, but we saw you can't do that against a team like New England, right?
Absolutely. I mean, you probably shouldn't have been able to get away with it against Pittsburgh. Right. I mean, that game is 7-6 late in the third quarter, and there's no way it should have been 7-6. And when the game is 7-6, you just, any fluky thing can happen. You can slip in coverage, and Aaron Rodgers hit DK Metcalf, although DK would have probably dropped it. You just can't allow that to happen. And, the Patriots are that type of team where they're going to take advantage of any mistake. And, I mean, we just made so many of them. And it was a short week. In the NFL, it's interesting because they avoid, in the NFL, regular season games playing Monday night on the road, Sunday on the road. Like, we got caught in that in 2014 when we went to Pittsburgh, ironically, on a Monday night, and then turned right around to go to Nashville and play Tennessee the following Sunday. And the NFL said, no, we don't want that for our teams. But you just gave us that in the playoffs. And that's what you've given the teams. But I'll say this, Paul, I don't know that was a huge factor. I do think the one way it may have been a factor was with Nico. Nico traveled to the game. I think had we played maybe Saturday and then got an extra day and then played Sunday, maybe Nico is able to come back. But with that short week, we just knew, okay, he's not going to be ready to go back. But we got some good young receivers that stepped up, Jade Higgins in particular, who I think is going to end up being a monster once he kind of figures out the NFL game. He is going to be a big-time player. But that short week definitely didn't help us. And we just can't, and the thing is, it's 21-13 13, and we've thrown 4 interceptions, and we've got the ball down inside the red zone. I mean, we can at least kick a field goal, but we can go in and score, and Woody Marks fumbled for the first time all year. And that was, and that's the killer. It's the timing of things. It was the pick 6. It wasn't just, Marcus Jones made a pick and he fell down because maybe our defense stops him. When we played Pittsburgh, we had 2 turnovers. There's interception and then there's fumble. 10 plays, 9 yards. They gave up after the 2 turnovers and held Pittsburgh to field goals. But when a guy runs a pick 6 back, our defense can't jump out there and make a play. So those turnovers yesterday in particular were killers against a team, against our defense, that wasn't going to score a whole heck of a lot to begin with.
What'd you think of Gophers rookie Ariante Ursary, the left tackle? Pretty good first season, right?
Paul, I adore him. I think he is everything that this organization wants in an offensive lineman, in a football player. I remember when I first watched him, Paul, I had heard his name, and I was like, well, let me go watch him. And I remember watching him going, he's kind of stiff and tall. I'm not sure how much I love him. But, let me just kind of put it on the back burner. I'll come back to it. And I came back to it last season, the 2024 season at Minnesota. And I'm like, you know what? He gets guys blocked. Well, he's got some nasty to him. I like him. I started doing a little more research on him. I thought, well, this is going to end up being a really good player. And then it turned out, he comes to Houston. And, Paul, I'm telling you, by the second week of training camp, it was clear he was our best offensive lineman. And he was just going to have to go through the things that offensive linemen in their first years go through. But he was getting that lesson from Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson Jr. And every day after practice, he would sit with those 2 guys. And I could see them kind of using their hands, kind of mimicking what they were talking about. I think Ariante Ursary is going to be a heck of a player for us for a very, very long time, and a hell of a pick by Nick Caserio in the second round.
What into the equation, what did you think of Drake May?
We saw him in his first start as a rookie in 2024. And I thought he made some throws in that game. I thought, boy, he's going to be a pretty good player. But they tried to push the ball down the field and leave 5 in to protect, and I thought this isn't going to work. And he kind of held it a little bit longer than he should have. That gave Will and Danielle opportunities to go knock the ball out. And they knocked it out 3 or 4 times. But the throws he made in clutch situations, the touchdown to Diggs, that was a great throw. I mean, the Pop Douglas throw on 4th and 1. I mean, Caleb Bullock, I thought, had it knocked down. But the throw to Booty down the sidelines is an all-time great playoff throw. I mean, that ball is thrown into about a 6-inch spot where only Booty can catch it. Sting is in great coverage. And then Booty makes one hell of a play. I am more and more impressed when I watch Drake, but he's got to take better care of the football, especially against Denver, because Benito's coming, Cooper's coming, and Zach Allen up the middle. I don't know if he's any relation to you, Paul, but that man plays some football. I think he's one of the more underrated players in the league. So he's got to take better care of the football if they want to go beat Denver. Because even if it's Jarrett Stidham, if he's handing them the football inside the 20 because he's back to throwing and gets knocked out, he's taking too long to throw it, or he's running with the ball and not protecting it like he did yesterday too, then they're going to lose that football game to Denver, who will take advantage of just enough stuff to win that game out there in Denver.
Hey, John, back to you guys for a second. Did you think there was a chance D'Amico, the head coach, moved to Davis Mills yesterday, or is that a preposterous statement?
No, I don't think it's a preposterous statement at all. There are a lot of people feeling that way, Paul. Davis played very well. In the 3 games CJ was out, the game against Jacksonville, I told him after the game, I told Davis that was the best I'd ever seen him play. I mean, he was phenomenal in that game. That brought us back and won the Jacksonville game and really got things started. I think in the 3 games, though, I watched it and said, yeah, we played okay, but the defense played out of its mind. After that Jacksonville game, he played okay at Tennessee, played okay against Buffalo. Buffalo. And I think it was at that point where we felt like, hey, we've got a higher ceiling if CJ is in the game. I think D'Amico believes 1,000% in CJ. He said as such after the game, and he really didn't need to say it. I think we know it. So, no, Paul, I don't think it's a preposterous statement at all. I think there are a lot of people thinking that he should have gone to Davis, but D'Amico believes in CJ, and he did in the second half right the ship a little bit. It just wasn't enough to overcome what had happened in the first half, and especially after they get the touchdown to Tayshaun Boutte. it was, kind of grab bag time, trying to do whatever we could to get back in the game. But it is not a preposterous statement at all. People in Houston have really kind of turned in a sense. They did not like Davis early on when he was a rookie, a second-year guy. They're like, no, we can do better. And now all of a sudden they're praising him, thinking he should have gone in the game. Davis has made a lot of strides and probably should start somewhere in the league. But I think D'Amico looked at it and thought, this is CJ's game all the way.
Yeah. This is John Harris at J. Harris Football, sideline analyst for the Texans radio network. Also puts together one of the most comprehensive and deep diving related draft scenarios and boards and predictions and things like that I've ever seen. Just really, really good with college football. That's why we chat with him at the Combine every single year. What's intriguing about tonight's national championship game?
Well, I love this Miami defensive line, and it's funny just watching our defense. You see how our guys think and how they play, and I know, in our society, when you use the word violence, everybody kind of jumps on it like, oh, no, violence, But when you're talking about football violence, that's the way our guys play. And when I watch Reuben Bain and Akeem Mesidor, number 4 and number 3, respectively, those guys are so violent up front. And Indiana has played good football teams this year, but they haven't faced two guys like that. And Indiana's offensive line has played extremely well this year. But those two guys can be a problem, and they may need their outside guys to have some help against Bain and Mesidor. However, I don't know that I've seen a group like Indiana's play so well together, especially defensively. They are so clean defensively. They don't miss tackles. Their stunts are so clean. There's always somebody coming free off a stunt. Brian Haynes has done a hell of a job as a defensive coordinator for Indiana. And I always say this, Paul, I like coaches that come from lower levels, I like them that come from high school or the D2, D3 levels, because they don't always have tremendous talent. They've got to figure things out, and they've got to work with what they've got. And they learn how to coach. Whereas I've seen a lot of coaches that just start off at, Tennessee or Georgia, and they're like, well, I just let my talent work for me. I like guys like Brian Haynes, Mike Shanahan, who's the offensive coordinator for Indiana. They started at IUPUI. I mean, those guys have been grinding ever since, and it's really paid off. And look, they've spent well at NIL just as Miami has. But that Indiana team, to me, plays really, really well. And Fernando is hot. He got hot against Oregon. He's got 3 really good receivers that I think they'll all be top 50, top 75 picks in the NFL. And Surratt, Cooper, and eventually Becker. Those 3, I think, can blow the game open. And if they protect against Bain and Mesidor, I think Mendoza can get those guys open against Miami secondary.
Time for 2 more here, John. Appreciate the time, brother. Given the game is at Hard Rock in Miami, should the Canes have a home field advantage? And it may sound like a stupid question on the surface, but it is a transient state. And secondly, the Hoosiers with that red and white, man, they just travel really well.
Yeah, I think it's dead on, Paul, because Miami's an interesting place. And Mark had been the voice of the Canes for 3 years, and so he knows that place really, really well. The Canes show up for Florida State, if they ever play Florida, sometimes Virginia Tech back in the day, but that's about it.
Right.
Until games like this. I think they'll show up, but it's going to be hard to outbid those Indiana fans. They have been phenomenal. That's been one of the big revelations to me about how much those Indiana fans have traveled. Our buddy Matt Taylor, who's the voice of the Colts, he was tweeting from Atlanta when they beat Oregon. It was really cool to see them have the success. I love seeing schools have success that haven't had it. Texas Tech had that this year, and there were a lot of Red Raiders in Houston that were really excited about what they did. So I love that, to see all that red and white tonight down in Miami. It's incredible. I can only imagine what the price of a ticket is. It definitely is not something I could afford, but it's going to be fun to watch from my couch after a long day of travel and a game yesterday.
All right, last one, NFL. Let's finish here because you just saw the Patriots, and Jarrett Stidham inside and out. You know a lot about Sean Payton, too. Do you like New England to win at Denver and against Jarrett Stidham? They're 5.5-point favorites. Is it just that easy?
No, I don't, Paul. I think Stidham, a great athlete. a really good athlete, much better than people expect. He's a guy that I know the Patriots, when they drafted him many, many years ago, they loved him. They loved him coming out of Baylor, Auburn. He's had some kind of ups and downs, but he's tough and he's athletic. I think that gives him a shot to maybe do a few things that Bo Nix did. He's going to have to hit something early, though. He's going to have to, hit a double move to Cortland Sutton down the field. He's going to have to get some confidence early. I was really impressed with the Patriots pass rush. I didn't think they were going to be able to get to the quarterback like they did. Kayvon Chason has been a revelation for the Patriots. I mean, he was a trash heap pickup for Vrabel, and he's just put on a show. So they've got to protect against him. But I think Denver's got a better offensive line, but Denver's got to get those running backs involved, and they got to give Jarrett Stidham some design runs to see if he can't keep those linebackers honest, and then maybe Evan Ingram gets more involved. The running backs, R.J. Harvey, gets a few more catches out of the backfield where he's very, very dangerous. But I worry about Denver missing J.K. Dobbins. That's been a big loss for them. I don't know that they really, it's been talked about enough how much they actually miss him. I think Dobbins is a big miss. I think the Broncos are going to find a way with Stidham. I think the defense will frustrate Drake May. I think they will find a way to score enough that Stidham doesn't have to do a lot. He just has to not screw up the game. And like we talked about earlier, we found a way to screw up that game yesterday. I think Stidham at home, that defense, that crowd behind him, I think he'll do just enough to go get that win.
You're the best. I'll see you in Indianapolis in a month and change. And thanks a lot for the time, man. Sorry about the Texans' loss yesterday. Tell Mark I say hello, and we'll catch up soon, all right?
I will, brother. It was great to get you text, Paul. Great to talk to you, man. We'll see you soon.
See you, buddy. John Harris, sideline analyst for the Houston Texans radio network, and also somebody very, very much into college football. Very smart man. Final segment, this MLK Day, is next.
I can't wait until tomorrow. 'Cause tomorrow might very well be too late. I can't wait until tomorrow.
Feel the energy of the state of hockey. Minnesota Wild is back, of course, at Grand Casino Arena. Not today. I mean, it's a road doubleheader, but I'm reading this vibe here. And the point of the vibe, Grand Casino Arena rocks. The team is good. And you don't want to miss the speed, the hits, and the roar of the crowd. So go to wild.com/tickets so that when our favorite hockey team returns home, you can be in a seat and watch Quinn Hughes and the skating, him avoiding everybody and never get hit. Kaprizov scoring goals. It's all good at GCA Grand Casino Arena. Wild.com/tickets for all details.
When preparing the anatomy of a Final Four, what goes into these teams that are in the Final Four? Did you? Because we're going to talk about it tomorrow.
Yes, it was painful.
But was there something you unearthed that was like, whoa, wow? Here's a common thread that A, matters, but B, something at which the local group might want to continue to focus.
The lowest of low-hanging fruit on this, and there are some bits that I want to graduate and expand on as part of this topic, is simply the drafting. Specifically with the NFC teams, when you're watching those two squads on Sunday and you're watching both the Rams and the Seahawks. The Rams, as I put it, I mean, they went from F them picks to every pick sticks.
Yeah.
And you can run down this line 3-4 years now, nearly half a decade, really since they won that Super Bowl. And they did miss the playoffs in 22. You're looking at an operation that went from guns for hire, veteran laden, and completely flipped the script in short order with their MV3.
Yep.
And that's something I want to get into with you tomorrow as well, because
sounds good.
In the end, the processes of these organizations that all 32 go through, these guys just did it the best. And that's a very obvious statement. But beyond the drafting, beyond the free agents, each of these squads found their way to pillars and patriarchs within those organizations for them to build around. And so whether it's we're turning the page into a new generation of QBs, young cats in the mix, But specifically with a couple of these teams, it's like, okay, yeah, you guys drafted really well, but you do have Matt Stafford. You did draft very well, but here's X, Y. You get where I'm going with that. So, but I would say the common theme that everyone, especially Vikings fans, especially as hot as the talker with the GM has been in recent years draft, the lowest of the low-hanging fruit is you're watching teams, sans the Patriots, a lot of fresh faces via free agency. I mean, that thing, it's kind of unbelievable, sans Drake and some moves. They've made some good moves in the draft. But the Milton Williams cats, like you look, there's a lot of veteran faces on that team that now for them to continue forward, they're actually going to have to do what the Rams have done really effectively is replace some of those older names with good talent behind them. What some of these teams have done in the draft is nothing short of remarkable. And that is part of the conversation and the story as to why we're on the outside looking in. And these squads are playing for a trip to Santa Clara.
That's something into which we will dive tomorrow. Matt LaFleur reportedly is getting a contract extension with the Green Bay Packers. That popped over the weekend. Sean McDermott, the coach of the Buffalo Bills, they lose Saturday. It's a very emotional, kind of heartfelt Josh Allen moment after the game. They decompressed and let calmer heads prevail. And then they fired their head coach.
I wonder if that played into that emotion, by the way. Kind of I know this, like Allen, as real as he can be at the microphone and was. Do you think they kind of felt like maybe even into this postseason, you kind of hear the fodder and stuff around Buffalo? And I had seen it more on a national perspective. If they don't find their way to the Super Bowl, McDermott's a name that could be in trouble. I just wonder if there was an element of, this is over. Yep. That next year it's going to be new, it's going to be different, and maybe challenging in different respects.
Vikings defensive coordinator Brian Flores has a second interview with the Pittsburgh Steelers for the head coaching job. The John Harris, who just joined us, I mean, elite college football mind. He touted us on the Indiana Hoosiers for tonight. He likes the Hoosiers to beat the Canes and to beat them kind of comfortably. And lastly, and sadly, we caught a stray from Ryan Harris, Creedon-Durham Hall, a Super Bowl winner with the Broncos. Caught a stray with and Vikings fans wouldn't you sure like to have Sam Darnold as your quarterback now? Personally speaking, my answer is no. And that's something into which we can dive as the week goes. But no, I'm fine with where we are right now. Wild at Toronto this evening at 6:30. Listen to that one at FM 100.3 KFAN. Nordo produces, and I'm Paul Allen. Look who just rolled into the side studio. Lo and behold, ladies and gentlemen, from the fighting city of Mankato, Minnesota, we welcome to the stage Big Daddy Con.
Let's go.
Down with that, Big Daddy.
Playoffs? What a weekend of games, OT thrillers, injuries, turnovers to blame. Plenty of talkers and topics for us to broach, while locally we're looking for a new O-line coach. And beef flow for the dough. Second interview and play with the Roonies, though. And while Peyton is hoping Stidham's like Bo, Darnold hoping a few and Egan eat some crow. But this postseason, it has us grinding gears. PA working a holiday for the first time in years. And Caleb throws a pick turned into a truly fatal miss. Bears going to the title game back for business. Final four leaving little to doubt. And here we are once again left out. Doubleheader starts tonight for the hurt hockey team, and MLK Day hoops providing matinee steam.
KFAN is my favorite station.
Podcast today's Paul Allen Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.